Hello and welcome back to Froggy's Gaming and Tech Reviews. We are rebranding the channel, so we're going to start off with that. But guys, I wanted to talk to you about something today, seeing as the 8 gigabyte GPU, the Nvidia 5050. The Nvidia 5050. I see that this GPU right here is causing a lot of commotion in the PC community, asking, hey, is that even worth it? Well, let me show you guys something. Okay, so this GPU cost $260. Okay, this one was like $259 or something. This is a 4 terabyte SSD. They cost me $247. Okay, so almost exactly the amount of a freaking 5050 GPU. This GPU is 8 gigabytes, so I mean it's not like the best that you can get, but I do want to make a video. I do want to go back and I want to test this out a little bit more. I want to run this up against games that are pre-2020. So basically anything that was made before the new console generation, I want to test this at 4K on those games and see what type of an experience that this 8 gigabyte GPU will do. Because if I remember correctly, Xbox One X did have 12 gigs of VRAM, but I think it was only able to use like 8 or 9 of those. So I'm hoping that we can get, and I'll throw like the 9060 XT 8 gigabyte and maybe the 5060 in there too. And I'll just go through and I'll test a bunch of those older games that are pre-2020, because look, there's no way to really, push back against popular thought when it comes to 8 gigabyte GPUs. Yes, they are long in the tooth. No, you probably shouldn't buy one. You should probably get something that has 16 gigs of VRAM. But I kind of feel like these GPUs are literally designed to make you, I don't know, it's almost like they're kind of trying to push you into the 16 gigabyte GPUs by making these the price that they are right now. Because I am starting to come around to the whole, maybe these GPUs are a little bit too much. I only feel that way for the 8 gigabyte GPUs though. I only feel like these ones here are just barely enough to make you want more. So in the longer run, the 16 gigabyte GPUs from both AMD and Nvidia, the 9060 XT, 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte, those GPUs are going to last you a pretty good while. I mean, I was sitting here doing a video for you guys tonight, testing out the 9060 XT up against the 9070 XT on 3440 by 1440p, and that 9060 XT is legit holding its own, like sitting there swinging with the big boys, and I'm like, gosh dang. Because think about this. If Nvidia and AMD are selling you GPUs that are entry level under $500, I mean, just under $500, but these GPUs are able to do 3440 by 1440p and give you a dang good experience. Yes, you're using frame generation to an extent, but you can get over 60 frames just using upscaling. So you can get over the 60 FPS hump on a lot of these games, still using features like ray tracing. And I like frame generation. Okay, especially MFG4X, especially on this card, okay? Nobody's going to show you that. Nobody's going to show you that because it does make a difference. It really does. Does it fit the narrative that we're not getting a big enough power increase? Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't fit that narrative. It actually really does kind of skew with what Nvidia and AMD are saying. Okay, like you're getting these massive upgrades. Yes, it is frame generation, but hear me out, guys. I've been testing it for the last couple of months. I have no reason to lie to you. I don't get free GPUs from Nvidia. I've never even gotten an email from Nvidia. I've bought these and I've tried them with my own money, and I'm telling you that for the most part, I don't think I've ran into a whole lot of games this generation that don't take advantage of that. And when I'm out there spending this amount of money on more storage for my PC for all my games, because I need more storage. I every time I think I got enough, I run out. you know, going through my Steam collection and looking at all those games, I don't even have them downloaded. So I'm like, gosh dang, I got to buy more storage. So I'm spending this, and that's what caught me out about this GPU, and that's why you're getting this video, is because I was looking at this when I was getting ready to buy it, and I'm like, gosh dang, that is almost, I mean, if I went with Samsung this time, this just happened to be on sale. If I would have went with Samsung like I normally do, I normally get like a Samsung or even Western Digital. Samsung is probably my favorite brand of SSD. Crucial would be second. I love Crucial. I would say I got as many Crucial drives as I do Samsung drives. But when I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at the entry level 8GB GPU that was able to give me 72 frames on Cyberpunk with ray tracing, I was like, wow, that's kind of impressive. Now you kind of have to put yourself in a, like a discovery phase when it comes to GPUs like this, for real. I don't recommend it. I really don't. If you can afford more, push yourself a little bit more. You know, the popular thing is right now is to recommend the 9060 XT 16GB. Yeah, that just makes sense. Now you're looking at going from like $260 to like $370, but you got to think of it this way, okay? You know, like the little way I've been talking about how, you know, you contrast it, compare and contrast it towards other forms of entertainment or whatever. If you do that, honestly, the 16GB GPU is going to pay for itself pretty quickly. You know, over a few months, obviously, you're going to get enough entertainment value out of that price to where it's going to be like, and I say that because after just a month or two, once you recoup the money that you spend on that, and things are, you know, stable again, you know, if it put you out a little bit, like, trust me, like some people, you know, you're going to spend $370, it's going to put you out for a little while. So you look at that, and once you regain your footing or whatever, it doesn't matter anymore. Like it's already paid for itself. By that time, you're already well into your entertainment value for the GPU. So yes, if you can get that extra money or make that extra jump, it is well worth it, and it will pay you back in dividends, because these 16GB GPUs are going to last you 3 to 4 years easy. The next generation, by the time we get next generation GPUs or consoles, even if they only have 24 freaking gigabytes, even if they have 24 gigabytes, a 16GB GPU is still going to last you well into that console cycle. You might have to turn some settings down, but let's be realistic, man. Most of the developers are not even going to start tapping into that power until about year 3, maybe 4. If you're looking at this, like, you're finally getting stuff like Death Stranding 2 on the PS5 Pro that's like, yeah, that's really good. So don't buy this GPU unless if this is your only option, okay? And this I gotta stress this. If the 5050 is legit your only option, okay, it's good enough to at least play like older games really, really well. Like, it does do a pretty dang good job. I was able to play like Ghost Recon Wildlands. I was able to play most of the games that I like to play. A lot of my Ubisoft open world games, no problem. I could play those at an enjoyable, comfortable experience that I was like, okay, yeah, better than 30 frames per second, 60 and above most of the time, decent visual quality. You got DLSS 4, you got freaking multi-frame generation, so you can play a lot of the stuff, like you can, but I would go for that 9060 XT. I'm telling you guys, that card is a very special card this generation. Not even just because it has the full 16 lanes of PCIe, whereas your 5050 and your 5060 are going to struggle on like Gen 3, PCIe Gen 3. They're going to struggle. You know, you need at least Gen 4 so that you can take advantage of these. So, yeah, I don't know, guys. Like, I've had a really good time with Blackwell this generation. So I'm not as upset about, you know, I'm not as upset with Nvidia this generation. I actually do like, you know, a lot of the stuff that they bought. I actually feel like it brings more value than upscaling ever brought. The frame generation, to me it's actually more of a benefit to me. That's just me. I play with a controller. I play a lot of story games and open world games and stuff like that, that latency just really doesn't have that big of an impact on the overall gaming experience that I like to have. So I like it. I feel pretty decent I feel pretty good about it. So, all right, my friends, if you guys like this content, do not forget to like and subscribe. I will have a link in the description for the Crucial P10 or P310. This here is actually Gen 4 up to 7,100 megabytes of read. So this is a pretty decent one. This is a pretty decent SSD. So, all right, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.